All right, everybody. Well, welcome back to another reading of Wuthering Heights, which is part of my Goodnight reading series that I do pretty much every day at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So we've gotten really far into Wuthering Heights. So right now we only have 77 pages left of this book. So it's definitely been quite a wild ride. So I'm going to give kind of like a brief synopsis, just kind of to where we are right now. So we are learning a lot about Wuthering Heights and the person, Mr. Heathcliff, who owns it. Mr. Heathcliff has a son named Linton, and he has an interest in a girl named Catherine, who happens to be the daughter of a woman he really loved who passed away. So he's trying to get Catherine and his son Linton together. He's kind of got this whole devious plot going on, and he's just an overall bad person. And now we also have Mr. Linton, who is Catherine's father, that is really opposed to Catherine and this boy Linton getting together. And by the way, these two are cousins, so it's kind of weird in that regard. But I know back in the day, in these times, people did marry their cousins. So it's a little strange in my opinion, but I get it. It's different time, different people. And then aside from that, there's Mrs. Dean, who's basically recollecting all of these things that she has learned and experienced, and she's telling it to a guy named Mr. Lockwood. So Mr. Lockwood is a tenant of Mr. Heathcliff's, and Mr. Heathcliff is like very uncouth. He's not your typical gentleman for England, and Mr. Lockwood has just been so curious about who these people are and how Mr. Heathcliff came to be. And specifically, he's very interested in Mr. Heathcliff and Catherine, his story, because he's just so kind of like gone and surprised by the fact that Mr. Heathcliff is the way he is and how he got Wuthering Heights. So now that we're kind of learning these things as Mr. Lockwood, we're hearing all of these recollections and remembrances through a woman named Mrs. Dean, also referred to as Nellie. So she's kind of a housekeeper, and she's been around the block and seen a lot of things with these characters that we've learned about. And as we go into the next chapter, Mrs. Dean, and Mr. Lockwood are going to be talking in the present tense and kind of just going over what happened, and, her learning that Catherine was talking to this boy Linton and, going against her father's wishes and doing like this secret love thing. It's a little confusing. It's a little back and forth, so do bear with it. And yeah, so that's kind of where we are with this story. And I'm just going to kind of pick up where we left off from last time, and we'll see where this train wreck of a story goes. I'm very interested. Chapter 25. "These things happened last winter, sir," said Mrs. Dean. "Hardly more than a year ago. Last winter I did not think at another 12 months' end that I should be amusing a stranger to the family with relating them. Yet who knows how long you'll be a stranger? You too young to always be contented, living by yourself, and I, some way, fancy, no one could see Catherine Linton and not love her. You smile, but you look so lively and interested when I talk about her, And why have you asked me to hang her picture over your fireplace? And why?" "Oh, stop, my good friend," I cried. "It may be very possible that I should love her, but would she love me? Oh, I doubt too much to venture my tranquillity by running in temptation. And then again, my home is not here, and I am of the busy world, and to its arms I must return. Go on now, tell me more of the story. Was Catherine obedient to her father's commands?" "Aye, she was," continued the housekeeper. "Her affection for him was still the chief sentiment in her heart, and he spoke without anger. He spoke in the deep tenderness of one that was about to leave his treasure, and amid perils and foes, where he remembered words were to be only aid that he could bequeath to guide her. He said to me a few days afterwards, 'I wish my nephew could write, Ellen. or call, tell me, sincerely, what do you think of him? Is he changed, or is he better? Or is there a prospect of improvement as he grows into a man? Aye, he's very delicate, sir, I replied, and scarcely likely to reach manhood. But this I can say, he does not remember or resemble his father, and if Miss Catherine had the misfortune to marry him, he would not be beyond the control of her, unless she were very extremely and foolishly indulgent. However, master, you'll have plenty of time to get acquainted with him and see whether he would suit her. It wants 4 years and more of his to bring to age. Edgar sighed and, walking to the window, looked out towards Gimmerton Park. It was a misty afternoon, but the February sun shone dimly, and we could just distinguish the 2 fir trees in the yard and the sparely scattered stray gravestones. I have prayed often, he soliloquized, for the approach of what is coming, and now I must begin to shrink and fear it. I thought the memory of the hour I came down that glen at a bridegroom would be less sweet than the anticipation that I was soon, in a few months, or possibly weeks, to be carried up and laid in its lonely hollow. Oh, Ellen, I've been very happy with my little Kathy. Through winter nights and summer days, she was a living hope at my side. But I've been as happy musing to myself among those stones, under that old church, lying through the long June evenings on the green mound of her mother's grave, and wishing, yearning almost, for a time when I might lie beneath it myself. What can I do for Kathy? How must I quit her? I'd not care one moment for Linton being Heathcliff's son, nor for his taking her from me, if he could give her console for my loss. Oh, I'd not care that Heathcliff gained his ends and triumphed in robbing me of my last blessing. But should Linton be unworthy, only a feeble fool to his father, I cannot abandon her to him, and hard though it may be to crush her buoyant spirit, I must persevere in making her sad while I live, and leaving her solitary when I die. Oh, darling, I'd rather resign her to God and lay her in the earth before me. Resign her to God? As it is, sir, I answered, and if we should lose you, which may he forbid, under his providence, I'll stand her friend and a counsellor to the last. Oh, Miss Catherine is a good girl. I don't fear that she will go wilfully wrong, and people who do their duty are always finally rewarded, mind ye. Spring advanced, yet my master gathered no real strength, though he resumed his walks in the grounds with his daughter. To her inexperienced notions, this itself was a sign of convalescence, and then his cheek was often flushed and his eyes were bright. She felt sure of his recovering. On our 17th birthday, he did not visit the churchyard. It was raining, and I observed, "You'll surely not go out tonight, sir?" He answered, "No, I'll defer it, this year just a little longer." He wrote again to Linton, expressing his great desire to see him, and had the invalid been presentable, I've no doubt that his father would have permitted him to come. As it was, being instructed, he returned an answer, imitating that Mr. Heathcliff objected to his calling at the Grange, but his uncle's kind remembrance delighted him, and he hoped to meet him, sometimes in his ramblings, and personally to petition that his cousin and he might not remain so utterly divided. That part of his letter was simple, and probably his own. Heathcliff knew he could plead eloquently, even though for Catherine's company. Then, "I do not ask," he said, "that she may visit here, but I am never to see her because my father forbids me to let her go home, and you bid her to come to mine. Oh, do now and then ride with her towards the heights, and let us exchange a few words in your presence. We have done nothing to deserve this separation, and you are not angry with me. You have no reason to dislike me, and you allow yourself, oh dear uncle, send me a kind note tomorrow, and leave to join you anywhere you please, except at Thrushcross Grange. I believe an interview would convince you that my father's character is not mine. He affirms that I am more your nephew than his son, and though I have faults which render me unworthy of Catherine, she has excused them, and, for her sake, you should also. You inquire after my health. It is better, but while I remain cut off from all hope and doomed to solitude or the society of those who never did and never will like me, how can I be cheerful and well? Edgar, though he felt for the boy, could not consent to grant his request, because he could not accompany Catherine. He said in summer, perhaps, that they might meet. Meantime, he wished him to continue writing at intervals, and engaged to give him what advice and comfort he was able by letter, being well aware of his hard position in his family. Linton complied to this, and he had been unrestrained, would probably have spoiled all by filling his epistles with complaints and lamentations, but his father kept a sharp watch over him, and of course insisted on every line that my master sent being shown. So instead of penning his peculiar personal sufferings and distresses, the themes constantly uppermost in his thoughts, he harped on the cruel obligation of being held asunder from his friend and his deep love, and gently intimated that Mr. Linton must allow an interview soon, or he should fear that he was purposely deceiving him with empty promises. Catherine was a powerful ally at home, and between them they at length persuaded my master to acquiesce in their having a ride or a walk together, about once a week under my guardianship, and on the moors nearest the Grange, for June found him still declining, and though he had set aside yearly a portion of his income from my young lady's fortune, he had a natural desire that she might retain, or at least return in a short time to the house of her ancestors, and he considered her only prospect of doing that was by a union with his heir. He had no idea that the latter was failing almost as fast as himself, nor had anyone, I believe. No doctor visited the Heights, and no one saw Master Heathcliff to make report of his condition among us. I, for my part, began to fancy my forebodings were false, and that he must be actually rallying, when he mentioned riding and walking on the moors, and seemed so earnest in pursuing his object. I could not picture a father treating a dying child as tyrannically and wickedly as I afterwards learned Heathcliff had treated him, to compel this apparent eagerness, his efforts redoubling the more imminently his avaricious and unfeeling plans were threatened with defeat by death. Chapter 26. Summer was already past its prime, when Edgar reluctantly yielded his assent to their entreaties, and Catherine and I set out on our first ride to join her cousin. It was a close, sultry day, devoid of sunshine, but with a sky too dappled and hazy to threaten rain, and our place of meeting had been fixed at the guidestone by the crossroads. On arriving there, however, a little herd boy, dispatched as a messenger, told us that Maester Linton were just out this side the Heights, and he'd much obliged if us gang on a bit further, you know. Aye, then Master Linton has forgot the injunction of his uncle, I observed. He bid us keep on the Grange land, and here we are, off at once. Well, we'll just turn our horses' heads round when we reach him, and that should be working well for you. So with that I agreed, but when we reached him, and that was scarcely a quarter of a mile from his own door, we found that he had no horse, and we were forced to dismount and leave ours to graze. He lay on the heath awaiting our approach, and did not rise till we came within a few yards. Then he walked so feebly and looked so pale that I immediately exclaimed, Why, Master Heathcliff, you're not fit for enjoying a ramble this morning. How ill you look! Catherine surveyed him with a grief and astonishment, and changed the ejaculation of joy on her lips to one of alarm and congratulation on their long postponed meeting to an anxious inquiry whether he were worse than usual. No, better, better, he panted, trembling and retaining her hand as he needed its support, while his large blue eyes wandered timidly over her, the hollowness around them transforming to a haggard wildness that the languid expression they once possessed. Oh, but you have been worse, persisted his cousin. Oh, worse than I last saw you. You were thinner and... Yes, I am tired, he interrupted hurriedly. It is too hot for walking. Oh, please, let us rest here. And in the morning... Oh, I often feel very sick. Papa says that I grow so fast. Badly satisfied, Kathy sat down, and he reclined beside her. Oh, well, this is something like your paradise, she said, making an effort at cheerfulness. Oh, you recollect the 2 days we agreed to spend in the place, and the way we each thought, the pleasantest things. This is nearly yours, only there are clouds, but then they are so soft and mellow. It is nicer than the sunshine. Next week, if you can, we'll ride down to the Grange Park and try mine. Linton did not appear to remember what she talked of, and he had evidently great difficulty in sustaining any kind of conversation. His lack of interest in the objects and subjects that she talked about, and his equal incapacity to contribute to her entertainment were so obvious that she could not conceal her disappointment. An indefinite alteration had come over his whole person and manner. The pettishness that might have been caressed into fondness had yielded to a listless apathy. There was less of the peevish temper of a child which frets and teases on purpose to be soothed, and more of the self-absorbed moroseness of a confirmed invalid, repelling consolation and ready to regard the good-humored mirth of others as an insult. Catherine perceived as well as I did that he held it rather as a punishment than a gratification to endure our company, and she made no scruple of proposing presently to depart. That proposal unexpectedly roused Linton from his lethargy and threw him into a strange state of agitation. He glanced fearfully towards the heights, begging that he would remain another half-hour at least. Oh, but I think, said Kathy, that you'd be more comfortable at home than sitting here, and I cannot amuse you today, that it seems that, well, my tales and my songs and my chatter, that you have grown wiser than I, and in these 6 months that you have very little taste for my diversions now, or else I could amuse you, and then I would willingly stay. Oh, well, stay to rest yourself, he replied, and Catherine, oh, don't think or say that I'm very unwell. It is very heavy weather and heat that makes me dull, and I walked about before you came. A great deal for me, you must understand. Oh, please tell Uncle that I am in tolerable health, will you? Oh, well, I'll tell him that you say so, Linton. I couldn't affirm that you are, observed my young lady, wondering at his pertinacious assertion of what was evidently an untruth. And be here again next Thursday, he continued, shunning her puzzled gaze, and give him my thanks for permitting you to come. Oh, my best thanks, Catherine. And if you did meet my father and he asked you about me, please don't lead him to suppose that I've been extremely silent and stupid. Please don't look sad and downcast as you are doing now. Oh, he will be so angry if you do. Oh, but I care nothing for his anger, exclaimed Kathy, imagining that she would be its object. But I do, said her cousin, shuddering. Don't provoke him against me, Catherine, for he is very, very hard. Is he severe to you, Master Heathcliff? I inquired. He has grown weary of indulgence and passes from passive to active hatred. Linton looked at me, but did not answer, and after keeping her seat by his side another 10 minutes, during which his head fell drowsily on his breast, he uttered nothing except suppressed moans of exhaustion or pain. Kathy began to seek solace in looking for bilberries and sharing the produce of her researches with me. She did not offer them to him, for she saw further notice would only weary and annoy him so. "It is a half an hour now, Ellen," she whispered in my ear at last. "I can't tell why we should stay. He's asleep, and Papa will be wanting us back." "Well, we must not leave him asleep, you know," I answered. "Wait till he wakes and be patient. You were mighty eager to set off, but your longing to see poor Linton has soon evaporated." "Well, why did he wish to see me?" returned Catherine. "In his crossest humors, formerly I had liked him better than I do in his present curious mood. It's just as if it were for fear his father should scold him. But I'm hardly going to come to give him Mr. Heathcliff any pleasure. Whatever reason he may have for ordering Linton to undergo this penance, and though I'm glad he's better in health, I'm sorry he's so much less pleasant and so much less affectionate to me." "Do you think that he is better in health, then?" I said. "Well, yes," she answered, "because he's always made such a great deal of his sufferings, you know. He is not tolerably well, as he once told me, and what he also told Papa, but he's better very likely." "There you differ with me, Miss Cathy," I remarked. "I should conjecture him to be far worse." Linton here started from his slumber in a bewildered terror, and asked if anyone had called his name. "No," said Catherine, "unless in dreams. I cannot conceive how you manage to doze outdoors in the morning." "Oh, I thought I heard my father," he gasped, glancing up to the frowning nave above us. "You are sure that nobody spoke?" "Well, quite sure," replied his cousin. "Only Ellen and I were disputing the concern of your health. Are you truly stronger, Linton, than we were separated in winter? If you be, I'm certain one thing is that not stronger your regard for me. Speak, are you?" The tears gushed from Linton's eyes as he answered, Yes, I am." And still, under the spell of the imaginary voice, his gaze wandered up and down to detect its owner. Kathy rose. "For today, we must part," she said, "and I won't conceal that I have been sadly disappointed with our meeting, though I'll mention it to nobody but you. Oh, I will not be in the stand of awe of Mr. Heathcliff." "Hush, hush," murmured Linton. "For God's sake, hush! He's coming!" And he clung to Catherine's arm, striving to detain her. But at that announcement she hastily disengaged herself and whistled to Minnie, who obeyed like a dog. "I'll be here next Thursday," she cried, springing to the saddle. "Goodbye. Quick, Ellen, quick!" And so we left him, scarcely conscious of our departure, so absorbed he was in anticipating his father's approach. Before we reached home, Catherine's displeasure softened into a perplexed sensation of pity and regret, largely blended with vague, uneasy doubts about Linton's actual circumstances, physical and social, in which I partook, though I counseled her not to say much, for a second journey would make us better judges. My master requested an account of our ongoings. His nephew's offering of thanks was duly delivered, Miss Cathy gently touching on the rest. I also threw little insight on his inquiries, for I hardly knew what to hide and what to reveal. Chapter 27. 7 days glided away, every one marking its course by the henceforth rapid alteration of Edgar Linton's state. The havoc that months had previously wrought were now emulated by the inroads of hours. Catherine would fall fain would have deluded yet, but her own quick spirit refused to delude her. It divined in secret and brooded on the dreadfully probability that gradually ripening into certainty. Jeez. She had not the heart to mention her ride. When Thursday came around, I mentioned it to her and obtained permission in order for her to go outdoors. For the library where her father had stopped a short time daily, the brief period that he could bear to sit up, and his chamber had become her whole world. She grudged each moment that did not find her bending over his pillow or seated by his side. Her countenance grew wan with watching and sorrow, and my master gladly dismissed her to what he flattered himself would be a happy change of scene and society, drawing comfort from the hope that she would not be now left entirely alone after his death. He had a fixed idea, I guessed by several observations. He let fall that as his nephew resembled him in person, he would resemble him in mind, for Linton's letters bore few or no indications of his defective character, and I thought pardonable weakness, refrained from correcting the error, asking myself what good there would be in disturbing his last moments with information that had neither power nor opportunity to turn to account. We deferred our excursion till the afternoon, a golden afternoon of August, every breath from the hill so full of life that it seemed whoever respired it, though dying, might revive. Catherine's face was like the landscape, shadows and sunshine fitting over it in a rapid succession, but the shadows rested longer and the sunshine was more transient, and her poor little heart reproached itself for even that passing forgetfulness of its cares. We discerned Linton watching at the same spot he had selected before. My young mistress alighted and told me that she had resolved to stay a very little while. I had better hold the pony and remain on horseback, but I dissented. I wouldn't risk losing sight of the charge committed to me for a minute. So we climbed the slope of the heath together. Master Heathcliff received us with greater animation on this occasion than the animation of a high spirits, though, yet of joy, it looked more like fear. "It is late," he said, speaking short and with difficulty. "Is not your father very ill? I thought you wouldn't come." "Why, won't you be candid with me?" cried Catherine, swallowing her greeting. "Why cannot you say at once that you don't want me? It is strange, Linton, that for the second time you have brought me here on purpose, apparently to distress us both, and for no reason besides." Linton shivered and glanced at her, half supplicating, half ashamed, but his cousin's patience was not sufficient to endure this enigmatical behavior. "My father is very ill," she said, "and why am I called from his bedside? Why didn't you send to absolve me from my promise when you wished I wouldn't keep it? Come, I desire an explanation from you. Playing and trifling are completely banished out of my mind, and I can't dance attendance on your affections now." "My affections?" he murmured. "What are they, for heaven's sake, Catherine? Oh, don't look so angry. Despise me as much as you please. I am worthless, cowardly wretch. I can't be scorned enough, but I'm too mean for your anger. Please hate my father and spare me for contempt." "Oh, nonsense!" cried Catherine in a passion. "Foolish, silly boy! And there, he trembles as if I were really going to touch him. You needn't bespeak contempt, Linton. Anybody will have it spontaneously at your service. Get off. I shall return home. It is folly dragging you from the hearthstone and pretending. What do we pretend? Let go of my frock. If I pitied you for crying and looking so very frightened, you should spurn such pity. Ellen, tell him how disgraceful this conduct is. Rise, and don't degrade yourself into an abject reptile. Oh, don't." With a streaming face and an expression of agony, Linton had thrown himself nerveless. He seemed to convulse with an exquisite terror. "Oh," he sobbed, "I cannot bear it, Catherine. Oh, I am a traitor too. I dare not tell you. Oh, but leave me. I shall be killed. Dear Catherine, my life is in your hands, and you said you loved me, and if you did, it wouldn't harm you. You'll not go, then? Kind, sweet, good Catherine, and perhaps you will consent, and he'll let me die with you." My young lady, on witnessing his intense anguish, stooped to raise him. The old feeling of indulgent tenderness overcame her vexation, and she grew thoroughly moved and alarmed. "Consent to what?" she asked. "To stay? Tell me the meaning of this strange talk, and I will. You contradict your own words and distract me. Please be calm and frank and confess at once all that weighs on your heart. You wouldn't injure me, Linton, would you? You wouldn't let any enemy hurt me if you could prevent it. I'll believe that you are a coward for yourself, but not a cowardly betrayer of your best friend." But my father threatened me," gasped the boy, clasping his attenuated fingers, and I dread him. Oh, I dread him. I dare not tell." "Oh, well," said Catherine, with a scornful compassion, "keep your secret. I am no coward. Save yourself. I am not afraid." Her magnanimity provoked his tears. He wept wildly, kissing her supporting hands, and yet could not summon courage to speak out. I was cogitating what the mystery might be, and determined that Catherine should never suffer to benefit him or anyone else by my goodwill, when hearing a rustle among the ling. I looked up and saw Mr. Heathcliff almost close upon us, descending the heights. He didn't cast a glance towards my companions, though they were sufficiently near for Linton's sobs to be audible, but hailing me in the almost hearty tone he amused to none besides, in the sincerity of which I couldn't avoid doubting, he said, "Ah, it is something to see you so near my house, Nellie. How are you at the Grange? Let us hear. The rumor does go," he added in a lower tone, "that Edgar Linton is on his deathbed. Perhaps they exaggerated his illness." "No, my master is dying," I replied. "It is truth enough. A sad thing it will be for all of us, but a blessing for him." How long do you think he will last?" he asked. "I don't know," I said. "Because," he continued, looking at the two young people who were fixed under his eye, Linton appeared as if he could not venture to stir or raise his head, and Catherine could not move on his account. "Because that lad yonder seems determined to beat me, and I'd thank his uncle to be quick and to go before him. Oh, hello! Has the whelp been playing that game long? I did give him some lessons about snivelling. He is a pretty lively one with Miss Linton, generally, wouldn't you say?" "Lively? No, he has shown the greatest distress," I answered. "To see him, I should say that instead of rambling with his sweetheart on the hills, he ought to be in bed under the hands of a doctor." "He shall be in a day or two," muttered Heathcliff. "But first, get up, Linton. Get up," he shouted. "Don't grovel on the ground. There, up at this moment." Linton had sunk prostrate against another paroxysm of helpless fear caused by his father's glance towards him. I suppose there was nothing else to produce such humiliation. He made several efforts to obey, but his little strength was annihilated for the time, and he fell back again with a moan. Mr. Heathcliff advanced and lifted him to lean against the ridge of turf. "Now," he said with curbed ferocity, "I'm getting angry, and if you don't command that paltry spirit of yours, oh, damn you, get up directly." "I will, father," he panted. "Only let me alone, or I shall faint. I've done as you wished. I'm sure Catherine will tell you that I have been cheerful. Keep by me, Catherine. Please give me your hand. Take mine, said his father. Stand on your feet. There now. She'll lend you her arm. That's right. Look at her. Oh, you would imagine that I was the devil himself, Miss Linton. Oh, to excite such horror. Be so kind as to walk home, will you? He shudders if I touch him. Oh, dear Linton, whispered Catherine. I can't go to Wuthering Heights. Papa has forbidden me. He'll not harm you. Why are you so afraid? I can never re-enter that house, he answered. I'm not to re-enter it without you. Stop, cried his father. We'll respect Catherine's filial scruples. Nellie, take him in, and I'll follow your advice concerning the doctor without delay. You'll do well, I replied, but I must remain with my mistress. To mind your son is not my business. You are very stiff, said Heathcliff. I know that, but you'll force me to pinch the baby and make it scream before it moves to your charity. Come then, my hero. Are you willing to return, escorted by me? He approached once more, and made as if he would seize the fragile being, but shrinking back, Linton clung to his cousin and implored her to accompany him, with a frantic importunity that admitted no denial. However, I disapproved. I couldn't hinder her. Indeed, how could she have refused him herself? What was filling him with such dread that he had no means of discerning? But there was a powerlessness under its grip, and any addition seemed capable of shocking him into idiocy. We reached the threshold. Catherine walked in, and I stood waiting till she had concluded that the invalid was safe to a chair, and pushing me forward, exclaimed, My house is not stricken with plague, Nellie, and I have a mind to be hospitable today. Sit down, and allow me to shut the door. He shut the door and locked it also. I started. You shall have tea before you go home, he added. I am by myself. Hareton is gone with some cattle to the Leas, and Zillah and Joseph are off on a journey of pleasure. And though I am used to being alone, I'd rather have some interesting company, if I can get it. Miss Linton, take your seat by him. I give you what I have. The present is hardly worth accepting, but I have nothing else to offer. It is Linton, I mean. Oh, how she does stare. It's odd what a savage feeling I have to anything that seems afraid of me. I had been born where laws are less strict and tastes less dainty. I should treat myself to a slow vivisection of those two as an evening's amusement. He drew in his breath and struck the table and swore to himself, By hell, I hate them. I'm not afraid of you, exclaimed Catherine, who could not hear the latter part of his speech. She stepped up close, and her black eyes flashing with passion and resolution. Give me that key. I will have it, she said. I wouldn't eat or drink here if I were starving. Heathcliff had the key in his hand that remained on the table. He looked up and seized with a sort of surprise at her boldness, or possibly reminded by her voice and glance of the person from whom she inherited it from. She snatched at the instrument and half succeeded in getting it out of his loosened fingers, but her action recalled him to the present. He recovered it speedily. Now, Catherine Linton, he said, stand off, or I shall knock you down, and that will make Mrs. Dean very mad. Regardless of this warning, she captured his closed hand and its contents again. We will go, she repeated, exerting her utmost efforts to cause the iron muscles to relax, and finding that her nails made no impression, she applied her teeth pretty sharply. Heathcliff glanced at me a glance that kept me from interfering a moment. Catherine was too intent on his fingers to notice his face. He opened them suddenly and resigned the object of dispute, but ere she had well secured it, he seized her with a liberated hand and, pulling her on his knee, administered with the other a shower of terrific slaps on both sides of the head, each sufficient to have fulfilled his threat, had she been able to fall. At this diabolical violence, I rushed on him furiously. "Oh, you villain!" I began to cry. "You absolute villain!" A touch on the chest silenced me. I am stout, and soon put out of breath, and what with that and the rage, I staggered dizzily back, and felt ready to suffocate or to burst a blood vessel. The scene was over in 2 minutes. Catherine, released, put on her 2 hands to her temples, and looked just as if she were not sure whether her ears were off or on. She trembled like a reed, poor thing, and leant against the table, perfectly bewildered. "I know how to chastise children, you see," said the scoundrel grimly, as he stooped to repossess himself of the key, which had dropped to the floor. "Go to Linton now, as I have told you, and cry at your ease. I shall be your father tomorrow. All the father you will have left in a few days, that is. And you shall have plenty of that. You can bear plenty. Oh, you're no weakling. You shall have a daily taste if I catch such a devil of a temper in your eyes again." Kathy ran to me instead of Linton, and knelt down and put her burning cheek on my lap, weeping aloud. Her cousin had shrunk into a corner of the settle, as quiet as a mouse, congratulating himself, I dare say, that the correction had lightened on another than him. Mr. Heathcliff, perceiving us all confounded, rose, and expeditiously made the tea himself. The cups and saucers were laid out already. He poured it into one and then handed a cup to me. "Wash away your spleen," he said, "and help your own naughty pet and mine. It is not poisoned, though I did prepare it. I'm going to seek your horses now." Our first thought on his departure was to force an exit somewhere. We tried the kitchen door, but that was fastened outside. We looked at the windows. They were too narrow even for Kathy's little figure. "Master Linton," I cried, seeing where we were regularly imprisoned, "you know what your diabolical father is after, and you shall tell us, or I'll box your ears myself, as he has done to your cousins." "Yes, Linton, you must tell," said Catherine. "It was for your sake that I came, and it will be wickedly ungrateful for you to refuse me." "Give me some tea. I am thirsty, and I will tell you," he answered. "Mrs. Dean, please go away. I don't like you standing over me. Now, Catherine, you are letting your tears fall into my cup. I won't drink that. Give me another." Catherine pushed another to him and wiped her face. I felt disgusted at the little wretch's composure, since he was no longer in terror for himself. The anguish he had exhibited on the moor subsided as soon as ever he had entered Wuthering Heights. So I guessed that he had been menaced with an awful visitation of wrath if he failed in decoying us there, and, that accomplished, he had no further immediate fears. Papa wants us to be married," he continued, after sipping some of the liquid, and he knows your papa wouldn't let us marry now, and he's afraid of my dying. If we wait, so we are to be married in the morning, and you are to stay here all night, and if you do as he wishes, you shall return home the next day and take me with you." "Take you with her? Oh, you pitiful changeling!" I exclaimed. "You marry? Why, the man is mad. Oh, he thinks us fools, every one of us. And you do imagine that beautiful young lady, that healthy, hearty girl, will tie herself to a little perishing monkey like you? Are you cherishing the notion that anybody, let alone Miss Catherine Linton, would have you for a husband? Oh, You wantin' whipping for bringing us back here at all, with your dastardly pulling tricks, and you don't look so silly now. Oh, I've a very good mind to shake you severely for your contemptible treachery and your imbecile conceit. I did give him a slight shaking, but it brought on a cough, and he took to his ordinary resource of moaning and weeping, and Catherine rebuked me. Stay all night? Oh, no, she said, looking slowly around. Ellen, I will burn that door down, but I'll get out. And she would have commenced the execution of her threat directly, but de Linton was up in alarm for his dear self again. He clasped her in two feeble arms, sobbing. Why won't you have me and save me, let alone? Let me come to the Grange. Oh, darling Catherine, you mustn't go and leave me after all. You must obey my father, you must. I must obey my own, she replied, and relieve him from the cruel suspense. Oh, this whole night, what would he think? Oh, he will be distressed already. I'll either break or burn away out of this house. You be quiet now. You're in no danger, but if you hinder me, Linton, I love Papa better than you. The mortal terror he felt of Mr. Heathcliff's anger restored to the boy his coward's eloquence. Catherine was near distraught. Still, she persisted that she must go home, and tried to entreaty, in her turn persuading him to subdue his selfish agony. While they were thus occupied, our jailer re-entered. Your beasts have trotted off, it seems, he said. And now, Linton, snivelling again. What has she been doing to you? Come, have done, and get to bed. In a month or two, my lad, you'll be able to pay her back her present tyrannies with a vigorous hand. Oh, you're pining for pure love, are you not? Nothing else in the world, and she shall have you. There, to bed. Zillah won't be here tonight. You must undress yourself. Oh, hush, hush. Hold your noise. Once in your own room, I'll not come near you. You needn't fear. Oh, by chance you've managed tolerably. I'll look to the rest. He spoke these words, holding the door open for his son to pass, and the latter achieved his exit exactly as a spaniel might, which suspected the person who attended on it of designing a spiteful squeeze. The lock was resecured. Heathcliff approached the fire, where my mistress and I stood silent. Catherine looked up, and instinctively raised her hand to her cheek. His neighborhood revived a painful sensation. Anybody else would have been incapable of regarding the childish act with sternness, but he scowled on her and muttered, Oh, you are not afraid of me? Your courage is well disguised. You seem damnably afraid of me. I am afraid now, she replied, because if I stay, Papa will be miserable, and how can I endure making him miserable when he, Mr. Heathcliff, let me go home. I promised to marry Linton. Papa would like me to, and I do love him. And why should you wish to force me to do what I'll willingly do of myself? Let him dare to try to force you, I cried. There's a law in the land, thank God there is. Though we be in the out-of-the-way place, I'll inform that if he were my own son, and it's a felony without the benefit of clergy. Silence, said the ruffian. To the devil with your clamor. I don't want to speak. Miss Linton, I shall enjoy myself remarkably in thinking of your father, and how he will be miserable. I shall not sleep for satisfaction. You should and could have hit on no surer way of fixing your residence under my roof for the next 24 hours than informing me that such an event should follow. As to your promise to marry Linton, I'll take care that you shall keep it, for you shall not quit this place until it is fulfilled. Well, then send Ellen then, at least to let Papa know that I'm safe, exclaimed Catherine, weeping bitterly. Or marry me now. Oh, poor papa! Ellen, he'll think we're lost. Oh, what shall we do?" "Ha! Not he. He'll think you are tired of waiting on him and have run off for a little amusement," answered Heathcliff. "You cannot deny that you entered my house of your own accord, in contempt of his injunctions to the contrary, and it is quite natural that you should have desire of amusement at your age, and that you should weary of nursing a sick man, and the only man of your father. Catherine, his happiest days were over when your days began. He cursed you, I dare say, for coming into the world. Well, at least I did. And it would just do if he cursed you as he went out of it. I'll join him. I don't love you. How could I? Sweep away. As far as I can see, it will make your chief diversion hereafter, unless Linton makes amends for other losses, and you provide your parent appears to fancy he may. His letters of advice and consolation entertained me vastly. In his last letter, he recommended my Jewel to be careful of his. Oh, and to be kind to her when she got her. Careful and kind, that's paternal. But Linton requires his whole stock of care and kindness for himself. Linton can play the little tyrant well. Oh, he'll undertake to torture any number of cats with their teeth be drawn and their claws pared. Oh, you'll be able to tell his uncle fine tales of his kindness when you get home again, I assure you." "You're right there," I said. "Explain your son's character. Show his resemblance to yourself, and then I shall hope Miss Cathy will think twice before she takes the cockatrice." "I don't mind speaking of his amiable qualities now," he answered, "because she must either accept him or remain a prisoner, and you long with her till your master dies. I can detain you both quite concealed here. If you doubt, encourage her to retract her word. You'll have an opportunity of judging." "I'll not retract my word," said Catherine. "I'll marry him within this hour, if I may go to Thrushcross Grange afterwards. Mr. Heathcliff, you are a cruel man. You're not a fiend, and you won't, from mere malice, destroy irrevocably all my happiness. If Papa thought I had left him on purpose, and if he died before I returned, could I even bear to live? I've given over crying, but I'm going to kneel here at your knee, and I'll not get up, and I'll not take my eyes from your face till you look back at me. No, don't you turn away. Do look. You'll see nothing to provoke you. I don't hate you. I'm not angry that you struck me. Have you never loved anybody in all your life, uncle? Never? Ah! You must look once. Oh, I'm so wretched. You can't help being sorry and pitying me." "Keep your fingers off and move, or I'll kick you," cried Heathcliff, brutally repulsing her. "I'd rather be hugged by a snake. How the devil can you dream of fawning on me? I detest you." He shrugged his shoulders and shook himself indeed, as if his flesh crept with aversion, and thrust back his chair, while I got up and opened my mouth to commence a downright torrent of abuse. But I was rendered dumb in the middle of the first sentence by a threat I should have known and should have understood. It was growing dark. We heard a sound of voices at the garden gate. Our host hurried instantly. He had his wits about him. We had not. There was talk of 2 or 3 minutes, and he returned alone. "I thought it had been your cousin Hareton," I observed to Catherine. "I wish he should arrive. Who knows but what he to take your part?" "It was 3 servants sent to seek you from the Grange," said Heathcliff, overhearing me. You should have opened a lattice and called out. But I could swear that Chit is glad you didn't. She's glad to be obliged to say, I'm certain. At learning the chance that we had missed, we both gave vent to our grief without control, and he allowed us to wail on till 9 o'clock. Then he bade us to go upstairs through the kitchen to Zilla's chamber, and while I whispered to my companion to obey, perhaps we might contrive to get through the window there, or into a garret and out by the skylight. The window, however, was narrow, like those below, and the garret trap was safe from our attempts, for we were fastened in as before. We neither of us lay down. Catherine took to her station by the lattice, and watched anxiously for morning, as a deep sigh being the only answer I could obtain from my frequent entreaties that she would try to rest. I seated myself in a chair and rocked to and fro, passing harsh judgment on my many derelictions of duty, from which it struck me then all the misfortunes of my employers sprang. It was not the case. In reality, I am aware, but it was in my imagination that dismal night, and I thought Heathcliff himself less guilty than I. At 7 o'clock he came and inquired of Miss Linton, and if she had risen. She ran to the door immediately and answered, Yes. Here, then, he said, opening it and pulling her out. I rose to follow, but he turned the lock again. I demanded my release. Be patient, he replied. I'll send up your breakfast in a little while. I thumped on the panels and rattled the latch angrily, and Catherine asked why I was still shut up. He answered that I must try to endure it another hour, and that with that they went away. I endured it 2 or 3 hours at length. I heard a footstep, not Heathcliff's. I've brought you something to eat, said a voice. Open the door. Complying eagerly, I beheld Hareton, laden with food enough to last me all day. Take it, he added, thrusting the tray into my hand. Stay 1 minute, I began. Nay, he cried, and retired regardless of my prayers I could pour forth to detain him. And there I remained enclosed the whole day and the whole of the next night, and another, and another. 5 nights and 4 days I remained altogether, seeing nobody but Hareton, once every morning, and he was the model of a jailer, surly and dumb and deaf to every attempt at moving his sense of justice or compassion. Whew. And that's the end of that chapter. So it seems like it's getting a little out of control. I'm a little worried about what Mr. Heathcliff is doing, because part of me feels like it's a little strange what's happening now. So part of me is wondering, did he just kind of want her to just be trapped in his house because Catherine reminds him of his old love? So I'm kind of curious as to where this is going to end and how this is going to finish. Like, eventually when we get back to the present with Mr. Lockwood, is Catherine going to somehow marry Mr. Lockwood, or Mr. Heathcliff is going to die? This was pretty messed up what Mr. Heathcliff did, and I'm kind of worried that he might have done something really bad to Catherine. So, yeah, with that being said, I will be reading again tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you're curious to find out where the story goes and what happens, you can feel free to join me then. And if you did enjoy listening to me, read more of Wuthering Heights, please like, subscribe, or follow. It's something that I do really appreciate, and it's also a great way for you to get updates on things that I post, or, when I go live. I do tend to post content pretty frequently, and I do stream daily as well. So, yeah, with that, I hope you all stay safe and stay geeky until